Imagine a freezing night in New York, wind howling through the alleyways, where a black homeless boy wrapped in torn blankets overhears a cry for help in the distant sand. Instead of turning away like the world always did to him, he runs toward it. What he did next saved a billionaire's pregnant wife from a nightmare. But what he asked for afterward, it wasn't money. It wasn't a house. It wasn't even for himself. What he said shattered the billionaire's heart and made him cry in front of the world. If you don't want to miss this story, hit that subscribe button now if you believe in second chances, kindness, and justice for the forgotten. This one's going to stay with you. The forgotten 12-year-old Jamal had lived most of his life in shadows, forgotten corners of subway stations, the back alleys behind diners, the cold benches of parks that never felt safe. His mother had vanished when he was 7, and no one had ever looked for him. He never knew his father. Each morning began with rummaging through trash bins. Each night ended with cardboard sheets and prayers to stars that didn't answer. But Jamal didn't turn bitter. He watched people, learned faces, studied human behavior like it was a game of survival, because for him, it was. On one cold December night, snow blowing sideways across the concrete jungle of Manhattan, Jamal sat with his back to a dumpster near Fifth Avenue, watching rich couples rush to black cars and heated buildings. Then he heard a car engine screech, a loud crash, and a woman's scream that froze his blood. He bolted from his hiding spot and saw a Bentley slammed into a lamppost, airbags out, smoke rising, and a woman heavily pregnant screaming for help from inside. No one else moved. Passers-by kept walking, scared, unwilling, or simply numb to chaos. But Jamal, he ran. He didn't think. He just opened the mangled door, glass slicing his arm, and pulled the woman out, shielding her belly from broken metal, ignoring his own wounds. Her water had broken. Panic etched on her pale face. She kept saying, "My baby, please." Jamal flagged a taxi, yelling at the driver to forget the fare. Just drive to St. Clair's Hospital, and held her hand, all the way as she screamed in labor. Doctors rushed in the moment they arrived. Jamal disappeared before they even learned his the search. A week later, billionaire tech mogul Charles Levington held his newborn daughter in trembling arms, standing beside his recovering wife, Eliza, who couldn't stop talking about the angel boy who saved her and the baby. Security footage confirmed the story. The media went wild, calling the boy a mystery street hero. Charles, who'd built a trillion-dollar empire in Silicon Valley but couldn't sleep, knowing his wife and child might have died, vowed to find the boy and give him everything. Private investigators scoured the city. Flyers were posted. News stations ran his image. But Jamal was nowhere. He'd slipped back into the underworld of the forgotten because kindness wasn't a performance for him. It was instinct. Weeks turned into a month. Charles grew obsessed. Meanwhile, Jamal, bleeding from that night and surviving on bread rolls, found an old man named Leon in a shelter who showed him how to clean wounds, how to think ahead, how to keep from getting sick. Leon became the closest thing Jamal ever had to a father, but he was also dying. Lung cancer? No treatment, no hope. "Don't cry, kid," Leon said. "We all get our turn. Just promise me if you ever get a chance, don't ask for anything for yourself. Ask for the next person." Jamal carried those words in his heart. Then one morning, a man in a suit showed up at the shelter holding a photo. "You've seen this, kid?" he asked the volunteers. Jamal recognized his own picture and tried to vanish again, but Leon grabbed his arm. "Don't run. Let them find you. It's your turn now." Jamal waited that night, heart pounding, until the black SUV pulled up and Charles Levington stepped out, snow in his hair, tears already in his eyes. The ass Charles fell to his knees in front of Jamal, hugging the boy tightly, overwhelmed with gratitude and guilt. "You saved my entire world," he whispered. Tell me what you want. Anything. Name it. It's yours." Cameras were rolling. Journalists buzzed. Charles had expected the boy to ask for a house, a bank account, adoption, something grand. But Jamal stepped back, looked him in the eye, and said, "I don't want anything for me. But there's a man named Leon at the 8th Street shelter. He's dying. I want you to get him help. And I want the other kids in the shelter to have books, heaters, and warm meals. If you want to do something big, fix the place where nobody looks." The silence that followed was deafening. A billionaire reduced to a puddle of tears in front of a ragged child. Charles hugged Jamal again, tighter this time, whispering, "You've done more for this world than any CEO I know." Within 24 hours, Leon was in a private medical suite getting top-tier treatment. The 8th Street shelter transformed. Overnight solar heating, digital classrooms, nutritious meals, sleeping pods, mental health counselors. Jamal didn't ask to live with Charles, didn't demand fame. But Charles gave him something he couldn't refuse: an education, a guardian, and a promise. You'll never sleep on the street again unless you want to walk them helping others like you did for my family. The legacy 10 years later, Jamal Levington stood behind a podium at a United Nations Youth Summit. At 22, he was the founder of Next Step, an international nonprofit that rebuilt over 140 shelters worldwide, inspired by the very one that once saved him. Behind him sat Charles and Eliza, their daughter Amaro, whose middle name was Jamalina, in his honor beaming with pride. Leon had passed peacefully 2 years earlier, but not before living in warmth, dignity, and joy. Jamal didn't stop at one act of heroism. He turned his pain into a blueprint for global change. In his speech, Jamal said, "I was invisible until I acted. And when I got noticed, I didn't ask to be seen, asked for others not to be ignored." The crowd erupted. Oprah called it the speech of a generation. The story of the boy who refused riches and chose compassion became a best-selling book, a movie, a movement, and yet Jamal never lost his humility. He still visited shelters unannounced, still remembered every night he went hungry, still wore Leon's old knit cap. In the winter, one night years later, as snow once again blanketed the streets, Jamal passed a shivering child sitting beside a diner. He knelt, offered half his sandwich, and whispered, "You're not alone. What's your name?" The circle had come full, and far away, watching through tears from a rooftop gala, Charles Levington smiled. The boy who saved his wife had saved the world.